Hey, what's going on, everybody? Happy Sunday. In this video, we are looking at the 10-game MLB slate. We have a lot of good matchups here, a lot of good pitching options, a lot of good stacks, so should be a fun slate. 1 week from today, we'll have a huge football slate that we'll be putting our finishing touches on. I know some of you guys will be putting your last lineups in or getting your lineups ready. Cannot wait for that. Football is finally back, and it's super exciting. So let's get started. As always, appreciate if you hit the like button, subscribe if you have not already. Looking at the totals today, a bunch of teams in some good spots. The Yankees, 6.5 at home against a bad lefty. We have the Mets starting to win some games. Jonathan VR is the hottest hitter on the planet right now in terms of just getting on base and just not for power, but at least for getting on base and getting some steals. He's batting an unreal 486. Still gives you some power, but really been able to get a bunch of hits, some doubles, some triple, couple home runs, and he's been batting at the top of the order. So a lot of multiple hit games for him, just the way he's been hitting, and gives you some speed on the base paths as well. So he looks like a fine option, probably one of the best Mets options, just the way he's looking right now. We have the Blue Jays approaching a 6-run total today up against a lefty. So Lourdes Gurriel is super hot right now. He's only $3,600. You have Springer, Vlad, Simeon, Bichette, even Teoscar. Just so many good hitters against lefties. You're looking at 9 righties in this lineup, so a good chance at least a couple will be able to get to a lefty in Cole Irvin, and some of the pricings are still very nice on them, especially at the bottom of the order. We have some of these Red Sox bats that look appealing, just like Bobby Dahlback, just because he's super cheap. Verdugo is pretty affordable, and then you could pay up for Schwarber, who's starting to look really good in a Red Sox uniform. On the Tampa side, not a team I usually love to stack, but I always like to get a couple if I can. Like Randy Rosarena looks nice. Meadows, Cruz, Lau as a 4-man stack. The Reds, you have Tyler Naquin still super underpriced, $3,000 against a decent pitcher, but he's still very young and is prone to some mistakes. I definitely like the Brewers at home against John Lester. Lester doesn't really have much left in the tank. Looking at his stats for this year, he has a 5+ ERA. He's given up 17 home runs in just 107 innings, and the strikeouts are basically non-existent. So they're going to be able to put the ball in play against him. And he's been very good on the road, but it's only 2 starts, and Miller Park is not very good for pitching. So definitely like Luis Urias batting leadoff, 39. Looking at Avisail Garcia, if he's in the lineup, he's really good against lefties. Lorenzo Cain, only 25. Hopefully he gets a little bit of a bump, but he's starting to play a little bit better. He's had a couple of monster games recently. Always the White Sox are always in play as a stack almost every slate. Today is not really much of a difference. They're just such a fun team to stack. So much power in the lineup. And then yesterday you got Rumi Gonzalez batting leadoff. If he bats leadoff again today, then he would be basically a very great cash option. He didn't do much, but he did have an RBI. He did get 5 at-bats. So still a matter of time before he starts to find his rhythm. But if he's only 2K, if he bats leadoff again, I think he's worth a shot. Pitching-wise, we have a bunch of top-end pitching to choose from. You have Robbie Ray, Corbin Burns at the top. Dylan Cease is in the mix the way he's pitched this year. 3.82 ERA, but the strikeouts are just massive with him. And then Castillo's really bounced back after he got off to a terrible start in the beginning of the year. For me, with the tougher matchup for Robbie Ray against Oakland, I'd go with Corbin Burns here. Still gives you a massive strikeout upside. He's in the mix for Cy Young in the National League. He goes about 6-7, sometimes 8 innings. He had a 15K game a couple starts ago against Chicago, which was mesmerizing. And I think he has a good matchup here again against St. Louis. You have some decent hitters, but overall, you're looking at a lot of righties in this lineup for Corbin Burns. And then my second pitcher would be Luis Castillo against Detroit. I think you could make a case for Dylan Cease, but I like Castillo. He's just good matchup against Detroit, and he's been super consistent recently, minus that start against Cleveland. Just lots of 20s, some high 20s, some high teens for him recently. I definitely would be shocked if he gets rocked here. He's also been very good at home compared to on the road for some reason, which is something you wouldn't expect because Cincinnati's not a very good place to pitch in. If you're looking for some value at pitching, you could look to Nick Pivetta just because Cleveland isn't a great offense minus Jose Ramirez and a couple of other hitters. You could go all the way down if you wanted to for like Zach Davies, but this doesn't give you that much upside because he's not a strikeout pitcher. So I feel pretty good about going with these two. There are a good amount of value plays that we can look to. First value play that looks appealing at first base, you got a bunch of guys to pick from. Luke Voigt against the lefty at 4K. You could pay all the way up for Nelson Cruz if you wanted to. For some reason, JT Realmuto is now is now first base eligible. So if you wanted to play him, you could. But I don't really like the Phillies that much against Miami in that park. But one guy that's just been off the radar and a matter of time before his price tag goes up is Frank Schwindel for the Cubs. Ever since they traded away Rizzo and everybody, Schwindel has stepped up very nicely. He's done a lot better than Rizzo has done so far this year as a member of the Cubs, but it's a smaller sample size for Schwindel. But he's been amazing. The last 10 games, he has 5 bombs, only 9 strikeouts, and he has 10 RBIs. Back-to-back 3-hit games for him. He has home runs in now 5 of his last 6 games. Just, I don't know what it's going to take for his price tag to go up a little bit. The matchup is nice here against Pittsburgh in that bad bullpen. And he's at home, which is a great place to hit in. So hopefully Schwindel can stay hot again today because I like that price tag a lot. At second base, we're going to have to look and see some of the pricing, depending on if Gonzalez of the White Sox is batting at the top of the order at 2K again. But I like DJ LeMahieu, 44 against the lefty. Jonathan India looks fine at that price tag. And then Simeon as a pay-up. At third base, lots of good options. As usual, you have Devers, Ramirez at the top end. Chapman looked really good recently. He's starting to hit a bunch of home runs. So for him, his average is still pretty bad, but the home runs have been really great over the past couple of months. For the value plays here, you can maybe go down to like JD Davis if he's in the lineup, which I don't know if he will be. He might be in the lineup. We'll see if they decide to give somebody a day out. But I like him more against lefties. Not a ton at the value end unless we get some of these guys batting at the top of the order or anything like that. So I'd probably look to like some of the top end guys, or maybe look to like Luis Urías at 39. He is batting leadoff for the Brewers. They're going up against John Lester, a lefty, so I like that already off the bat for Urías, who's good against lefties, and he's been really good recently. 5 hits in his last 2 games. He now has a 6-game hitting streak in which he has a couple of home runs during that stretch. He gives you a little bit of speed, and the park is just great to hit in. And the pitching is going to be nice for the Brewers. So hopefully they're able to give Burns some run support, and a guy like Urías can contribute to that. Shortstop, you have Bo Bichette at the top end guy. You can go with the value play in like Gleyber Torres if you wanted to. He's only like $3,300, so he's nice and cheap. Even VR didn't talk about. I mean, I talked about him in the beginning with Jonathan VR. He is 4K. He's been amazing. In the outfield, anytime the Yankees go up against a lefty, I will have interest in Giancarlo Stanton, especially when he's still a pretty affordable price tag, given how well he's played ever since August commenced. In his last 10, he has 6 home runs, 12 RBIs, and we know how much he destroys Baltimore. He's batting almost 400 against them and 51 at-bats this year. There's just nobody that can really slow him down on this pitching staff, and I do not think Keegan Allen will be able to do that, or Keegan Aiken will be able to do that today. And then I got to go with Lourdes Gurriel. I love playing Lourdes Gurriel most of the time, but it's been kind of a struggle for most of the season, but recently he's been on a tear, and he's a super streaky hitter, so I think he can stay hot again. We know he's a lot better against lefties, so that's a great sign. The price tag is still super fair for a team that has almost a 6-run total, and he had that game-winning or game-tying grand slam in the bottom of the 8th a couple days ago against Oakland, and then he followed it up with another monster game with a home run, 4 more RBIs, and 2 more hits, or 3 more hits total, like last night against Oakland. So hopefully he stays hot again today, and the price tag is just too good to pass up for me at 36. So that is about it for the DraftKings side. Let's take a look at the Fanduel pricing. All right, over on Fanduel, I like to get to Corbin Burns again, and I think you could do that easily. With the amount of value that you have on the slate, you have Jonathan VR, only $2,800, Luis Urías, only $24, batting leadoff, and both of these guys you can play on multiple positions. And I still like to get to Stanton and Lourdes Gurriel in the outfield if I can. Still leaves it with 27-25, so you're going to have to go cheaper at some other spots. You could go to Luis Castillo instead at pitcher if you wanted to pay up a little bit more, but even at catcher or first base, if you scroll down to the sub 3K range, you got at least a handful of guys that you could pick from. Gary Sanchez, $2,900. You have Brad Miller, who always seems to do good for the Phillies most of the time. We have Bobby Bradley. You have Bobby Dahlback, who I like a lot more. So just a bunch of good options here. You have Andrew Vaughn, if you wanted to play at least a Chicago White Sox bat. Christian Vasquez. So a lot of good cheap options that you can pick from. So I feel pretty confident going Corbin Burns at 11.5. You're still able to pay up at some other spots if you wanted to for like 3K hitters. But that's about it for the video. Thank you for watching. Hope you guys are all having a great holiday weekend, and best of luck today.